Well, as we approach the end of the year, there are a couple of things you need to know about investing. First, many people are looking to begin the year investing following a couple of good years on Wall Street. And here to help us sort it all out is Bob Fazio from Morgan Stanley. Bob, good to have you with us.
Hi, Liz.
Hi. Well, here we go. End of the year, and investors are probably, well, they're probably not sitting on the edge of their chairs because the market's done pretty well. But I suppose they want to know what to do next.
Well, they do. And what happens every year when you've had a couple of good years in a row, especially, people start to position themselves for the coming year and say, what should I own? They start looking at mutual funds that are out there frequently, if that's their vehicle of choice. And they look at how the mutual fund performed, what the cost was, but they forget one very important thing, especially if they're doing this towards the end of the year. They forget what is called a mutual fund ex-dividend date. Don't want to get into the complexities of it, but what it basically means is that mutual funds that have declared a lot of profits have an ex-dividend date, usually sometime in November and December, not always, but usually, in which they declare their profits for the year. If you haven't owned the fund and you own it before their ex-dividend date, you're going to pay taxes on profits and distributions that you didn't participate in. We remind people all the time about that. Secondly, we're asked about limitations on 401ks and 403bs as people scramble to try and get as much in as possible away from the tax man. They're contributed through only payroll, and the maximums for this year are $17,500. IRAs, the maximum this year is $5,500. There are catch-up provisions for both of those. If you're 50 years and older, you can do more than that.
And I understand that there were also a couple of key announcements this morning.
They were made. This is almost a potpourri of things, Liz, if you will. There were several key announcements that were made this morning. First of all, jobless claims came in at 368,000 versus the 320 that were expected. That's worse than we anticipated. But November retail sales, on the other hand, came in at 0.7% versus the 0.6% that was expected. That's better than expected. Overriding all of this is the real possibility, not law yet, but the real possibility that Democrats and Republicans are coming to some sort of budget agreement. Doesn't address the deficit problem very well, but it's an agreement that hopefully avoids all the drama associated with a government shutdown, which would happen in the middle of January if they didn't agree.
Well, I'll tell you what, we wouldn't know what to do without that drama, but we'll see what happens for sure. Bob, thanks so much for being with us.
You're welcome.
All right, Bob Fazio.